Sugar doesn't just affect your weight. It affects your brain, your mood, your energy, your memory. Oh, what was I going to say? And even your risk for dementia. We're going to be talking about that and a lot more right after this. Welcome, everybody. This is the Life Enthusiast Health Shots podcast, restoring vitality to you and the planet. I'm your co-host, Scott Patton. Joining me, as usual, Martin Patella, health engineer at Life Enthusiast. Hey, Martin, how are you doing today?
Hey, Scott. It's the Facebook day. We're looking healthy.
Absolutely. Hi, George. Good to have you joining us as usual. Welcome to everybody else. And we're really excited. This is going to be part one of a two-part series on sugar, because when Martin and I went over it an hour ago, he said, oh, there's no way I can talk about all of this in 25 minutes. So we're going to stop it at some point, but hopefully we can convince you that this is a really, really important thing that you need to take a hard look at. So, Martin, let's talk a little bit about the hidden problems with sugar and what it does. And in fact, I'm going to bring in.
Show a slide.
There's the slide. This is going to be our 14-day sugar reset program, from dependency to metabolic clarity.
But can you show that other graphic, that kind of that one?
This is it. This is our sugar reset. 14
There is a
days.
plan. We have a plan to offer you a guidance. It's like this. It takes actually 21 days typically for any process in the human body to reset. And so when you first make a change, for a couple of days, it doesn't feel like much. Then you hit the skids. All of a sudden, the system starts going back and forth. Dysregulation shows up. Old habits, whatnot, start calling you and pulling you back in. And then at some point, you break the creature's back, or resilience or resistance, and you start gaining control over it. And then after about 3 weeks, as long as you persist, a new habit is formed, a new equilibrium is attained.
Yeah.
And that's why we need this challenge. And this 14-day is a minimum. The third week gets easier.
Martin, I don't know if you ever heard, but I saw an article when they were training astronauts. And what they did with this group of astronauts was they hung them upside down to see how they would adjust to being upside down for, I don't know how long, but it was over 21 days. And at 21 days, an amazing thing happened. Their eyes perception flipped.
Yes.
So all of a sudden, since nothing was looking upside down anymore, it was looking right side up, even though they were upside down. And so then they thought this was really interesting, right? And then so they did another experiment where they hung them upside down for 14 days, and then they put them right side up for a day, and then they hung them upside down again. And at 21 days total, nothing happened. In other words, if you stop this, if you go, okay, I've gone 13 and a half days, I'm going to have a spoonful of sugar, you might as well not have done it at all.
Yeah, you're back at the beginning.
You're back at the beginning.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking about this and dealing with this over the next 2 weeks. And it's not a calorie problem with sugar. It's a systemic biological crisis. How does that sound?
Well, it's not about the total calorie. It's not about the total energy. It's the type of energy. It's the fuel that you're bringing in. And in a human body, there are 3 macronutrients: starch or carbohydrate, fat or lipid, and protein, which doesn't have another name. It's just protein. Anyway, what's interesting is this. Fuel is the most burnable in the carbohydrate form. And carbohydrate comes from starch, and starch comes mainly from grains and tubers. So that would be the wheat, barley, rye, potato, rice, sweet potato, turnip, and even carrot juice. So those would be the easy burning fuels. And then the not easy burning fuels are lipids, fats, and they come in either fruit oils such as coconut, avocado, palm. They're the healthy ones, or butter from milk, or animal fats. That would be tallow, lard, chicken fat, duck fat, all of those fat things. And then seeds, plant seeds. Those are the controversial ones, not because they would be bad per se. They're bad because of how we extract them.
Right.
I would get into a sidebar about how long ago people would take flax seed and hemp seed and even other, like even mustard seed or any other seed, and extract oil from it successfully without any trouble. But industrial way of doing it is troublesome. We can get into that some other day.
Right. So when we take this sugar, it affects our brain. We have brain inflammation.
Yeah,
it
it affects energy, right? Anywhere there's requirement for energy, you can supply it from one of two sources: the slow burning fat or the fast burning glucose, starch.
So it's kind of like when you have a fire and all you put on it are twigs. It burns hot and fast, and then there's nothing there. Whereas if you put a few big logs on it, it could last all night.
Yeah, newspaper in the fireplace.
Yeah.
Flames to the ceiling, gone in 2 minutes.
But I don't think too many people talk about sugar as accelerating cognitive decline, right? And impairing our memories.
Well, so let me explain. When you burn the twigs, you are burning at a hotter temperature. So you're creating more damage because you are burning it in living flesh. And so there's a lot more oxidation going on, and there's a lot more oxidative damage. And so you're essentially destroying your tissues in the process of feeding them.
So if you're a parent and your kids are bugging you and you decide, well, here's some licorice and here's some chocolate bars.
Here, have a candy, son.
Yeah, and you're not doing them any favor when it comes to their intelligence.
Yeah, well, children's metabolism is highly resilient, and they are so willing to run and jump and whatever. They are good candidates for burning it off.
Right.
Not so much the 40-year-old sitting in front of a TV cheering for his favorite team, downing popcorn, potato chips, and beer. All carbs.
All carbs. Yeah. All right. So this is kind of a visual of what happens. Sometimes we have to see something that, like, oh, I don't want that, and oh, I do want that, in order to actually move towards creating what it is we want in our lives.
Yeah. So we talked about the fire, and the sciencey name for that fire is glycation. What happens is a sugar is attached to a protein, and that's AGE is advanced glycation end product. And that rust spot that you see on that model, that's the AGE. Aging and advanced glycation end product is one and the same thing. You're creating damage by the process of generating energy the easy, lazy, dangerous way.
And the good news is you can change it.
Yes.
I almost said get better, but that might not be approved by the people that
monitor
censor us. Yeah. So here's the clarity gradient and the dependency phase, 3 steps.
Yeah, right on. Okay.
So our sugar builds up in the bloodstream and it can't get into the cell.
Yeah. You see, what you're describing here in this slide is really cute, is uh, when you have circulating glucose in your blood, it's being sensed. And if there is a high amount of glucose, insulin is sent to deal with it. And insulin's job one is to knock on the door at the cell and say, please take this glucose. But if the cell already has glucose available, or if the cell is actually just doing nothing or not needing the energy, it just says no. And that actually becomes habitual, and we end up with this insulin resistance, where regardless of how much circulating glucose you have, the cell stays in the locked state, regardless of how much insulin you have. So you could actually have what's known as the metabolic syndrome, where there's plenty of energy available, but not inside the cell. And so you're actually having chest pains, where your heart muscle, which is the biggest consumer of energy in your body, next to the brain, it's starving, regardless of the fact that there's plenty of it available.
Right. Yeah, it's like there's a feast, but you can't eat it.
Yeah. It's sort of like somebody taped your mouth shut and put a meal in front of you.
And so we can have lots of energy. We can have everything that we need in our body already, but our tummy is saying, eat more, because the cells are all starving.
Yeah, that's the insulin conundrum. And here's how you get there. Stress, when you go into the fight or flight mode, whatever the signal is, whether you got into it by reading an email or driving your car or watching TV or having a conversation with somebody who you don't like a lot, you're going to get into the fight or flight mode. And that triggers your adrenals into releasing cortisol, and cortisol causes muscles to start being consumed. You're actually converting all resources that you have available into glucose so that you may get away physically from the danger. And if that's not happening, if you're not running or lifting weights or doing push-ups or whatever, then insulin shows up and starts taking away this excess glucose. So you have now dissolved muscle mass, turned it into glucose, and now you have shunted it into visceral fat, belly fat. That's all the cascade of living a stressed moment.
Right. Okay, so moving into it a little bit more, we've got the trigger, we've got the ingestion, we've got the dopamine spike, and then the receptor down regulation, which I think is pretty much what you just described.
Yeah. Where you have there's what I didn't mention is the dopamine spike, right? Dopamine is the hormone that gives you pleasure or allows you to feel pleasure. And so when you release this glucose thingy, it feels nice. It's a reward. But the downstream of the reward is too much glucose, which triggers this cycle that I just mentioned.
And we have scientists working in the food industry whose job is to find things that they can put in the food that gives us dopamine spikes all over the place, which is why people love potato chips and chocolate chips and all the rest of it.
Yeah, the science of the mouthfeel. Our body is seeking for fat and seeking for sweetness. In the old days, that was a rare find. Like if you are a hunter-gatherer, finding something sweet is very unusual. Like you would have to find a honeybee nest and break into it. Right. Or for the one perfect week in middle of July, the peaches are ripe.
Or the blueberries is what I was thinking of.
Yeah, okay. For the one special month in
2 weeks.
sometime in August,
For the
blueberries
longest
are
time,
on.
it was 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You go out and pick blueberries for 2 weeks, and that was it.
And then it's over. Yeah.
No
So
wonder
you can dry them, right? And this food called pemmican, which is what the natives used to make. That's bear fat with dried berries. I don't know if it tastes any good, but it sure is intense in calories and antioxidants all at the same time.
Yeah. Well, and if you're used to like boiling bark to drink, then it probably tasted pretty good to them.
Oh, yeah. And that's the other thing you mentioned. I think the industry is turning food into candy. They're getting rid of fiber and they're getting rid of bitterness. And so the food is more and more seductive by pushing sweetness and fatness, which is what our tongue loves. But it produces too much energy for the volume taken. And so the ratio between calories and nutrients is continually switching over into too much nutrient, not enough nutrient for the calorie intake.
Right. Yeah. So we have lots of calories and we have very little nutrition.
Yeah.
That causes a whole series of problems of its own.
Yeah.
So this is what we're going to be asking you to do. We're asking you to do a fuel transition, and there is going to be a withdrawal hump, and you're probably all going to go crazy. I know I do when I try this, and I'm still working on it. I'm not perfect. Yeah, and George says they pump it in the commercials. Yeah, they just make the commercials like, oh, this food and this great experience, they're all tied together. So let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Associate pleasure with whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, here's the interesting thing, right? Like first day, you don't notice much. Second day, all of a sudden, the withdrawal begins. And day 3, 4, 5 usually are the dramatic times when you are just running around looking for something to put in your pie hole.
Yeah. And something sweet too. You can have lots of meat.
That's why I named it pie hole.
Yeah. Where's that apple pie? Where's the ice cream?
Yeah.
And then by the time you get to day 5, day 6, it's starting to go down, but it's still high.
Right. One of the solutions is to go on a multi-day fast. Water's fine. Salty water, mineralized water is great. By the time you hit end of day 4, you have broken its back.
So it doesn't take a long time, but it just takes persistence and resilience.
Yes. Yeah, and there we go.
Here's the transition.
Yeah, so the internal mechanism, here's what happens, right? Like when your glucose or glycogen, which is the human form of it, is depleted, the insulin levels drop, and all of a sudden you start consuming other resources. And the other resources start first with the water. Well, you see, in your muscles, you pack about 1,500 calories worth of energy. Your liver holds about 150 calories worth of energy, the instant available right now, which in a full-size male is about half a day's worth. And then when you consume all that, then other resources start getting pulled in. And finally, by day 3, 4, it's going to say, is I realize that this is not coming. We're going to have to start burning reserves.
And that would be your fat.
Yep.
So you can experience intense localized sugar cravings.
That's
for sure. You can be ornery to people around you.
Yeah.
And you're going to have, oh, I am hungry, and nothing seems to satisfy me.
Yeah. Yep. You'll be suffering for a while. There's this thing called lectin, which is no, I could be saying it wrong. There is one that's called lectin and one that is called leptin, and I get them confused. But one of them is, maybe it's the leptin. Anyway, your fat is sending this signal. We have leptin, we have reserves, and your brain is supposed to be sensitive to it and say, we have reserves, let's stop eating. But your brain can become insensitive to it, deaf to it. And in extremes, it's just completely shut off, and you just keep eating because your brain thinks that you have starved and you have no reserves.
Yeah. And that's something that the food scientists know, and they put that into the processed food. And that's why when we sit down in front of the TV to watch the football game and we got a bag of chips, we're full after 7, but we eat the whole bag.
Yeah. I don't have any breaks on that either. The only solution I know of is to not bring it into the house.
Yes, that's the only solution I know. If it's in the house, it gets eaten.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the transition phase. We're going to go through dopamine withdrawal, cortisol spikes, and adrenaline release.
Yeah, you need to come up with new dopamine fixes. You need to come up with new ways of generating pleasure. Sex works if you can get it.
Right. And that would be like a good strategy. It's like, okay, what can I do that gives me pleasure that doesn't involve eating?
Yeah. Well, if you're camping and you're out in nature and you have completely, you have brought only things that are low starch. There you are, right?
And cortisol, we keep talking about cortisol.
Right. So whenever you feel stressed, cortisol is released. That's the signaling hormone for either panic or anxiety or anger. All of that. So whenever that comes on, whenever you feel struggling with anything, that's cortisol talking.
Okay.
And then, of course, adrenaline comes with it. And those are the physical symptoms. Cortisol is the hormonal, and adrenaline drives the organs, the action. If you've ever had an adrenaline shot, you know that it hits you at the back. It's the dorsal. Like it feels like a tiger has just bit you on the back of your neck if you have had an adrenaline shot.
Right. Okay, so Martin, we're going to stop at the end of day 4. When we come back next week, we're going to get in on day 5. And let's talk a little bit about some of the things that we can do to help people get through this process. Because it's one thing to say, okay, get rid of all the sugar and stuff in your house and the starches and the processed foods. But fortunately, we can do things that are going to be able to support this move.
Yeah. Yeah, I would start with suggesting that there is a way to regulate both the glucose, which we can do with berberine, and regulate the insulin, which we can do with this mixture called Oregan. So pick one that you want to show. And
let's start with the berberine.
Sure thing. So we make this in-house. It's there are several plants. Golden seal and Oregon grape are the 2 most popular, well-known ones for the source of it. And when ingested, it helps our bodies manage the blood glucose. It allows us to not experience the spikes in such way that they become bothersome, and it definitely reduces the cravings.
And here it is, finally.
Took a while, but there it is. It comes in a bottle. It's an alcohol extraction. It's a classic tincture. So it's alcohol and glycerin that are used to extract the bits out of the plants. And the alkaloids that are taken out of the plants are just helping you manage whatever you've eaten to not gain weight, to not get a spike, to stay level, to balance blood glucose, eliminate the glucose spikes.
Right. And so let's take a look at the oregano, or oregulin.
Yeah, oregulin. Oregulin is in oregano and insulin. What this is, actually take a click on the ingredients. It's kind of interesting what they put in it. And you have oil of myrtle, oil of cumin, special oregano, and then fenugreek, and cinnamon, and sage, and pumpkin, and all of that in a base of olive oil.
Wow.
So what's interesting here is this, right? The one or some of them are anti-infection, some of them are anti-inflammation. Cinnamon, for example, is famous for its ability to control insulin spikes. That's why a lot of baked things have cinnamon with it.
Cinnamon
Like
apple pie and cinnamon bun.
bun and all of that. And Mexicans cook with cinnamon quite successfully, right? They put it into all kinds of meals.
Huh.
Anyway, aromatic spice oils that will help you regulate the spike and help you get rid of the stress response, and helping you to make your cells more willing to burn off the energy rather than store it as fat in your body.
So you would take the dropper and you just put a couple drops under the tongue?
Yeah. Take it just before or with the meal.
Okay.
Yeah.
And let's take a look at the AMPK.
Yeah, AMPK is a really interesting animal. AMPK stands for activated protein kinase, and it's an enzyme. And it's sort of like a fuel gauge or energy sensor for the cells. You know that slide that you were showing where there was this slide showing that you were running on empty?
Yep.
Well, this AMPK is the signaling that says, well, but we have a reserve, let's burn fat.
Ah.
So it's shifting the energy balance. And instead of being anabolic, meaning storing the fat, putting it away, it goes catabolic. It just says, let's burn the damn thing. So that's what you want. You want to burn the fat.
Cool. And then you had one other, this one surprised me, and that's the Miracle 2 Neutralizer Liquid.
Well, we didn't get to talk about the minerals involved here yet, but it's this. Whenever insulin is involved, whenever blood glucose is involved, you need more magnesium, you need more potassium. And this is one such supplement. It's a liquid of water that has been specially treated. This is highly harmonized water. So even if it didn't have the minerals, it would have benefits. But it does have minerals. It's calcium, potassium, and magnesium put into it. And so it will help you remineralize and restore the nutrient deficits. So most people would do 1 drop per ounce of water or a teaspoon per gallon of this.
And then soak in it. Or
oh, yes, you can put it in a bathtub. Yes, you can. Yeah, you can put about a tablespoon of this in a bathtub together with a tablespoon of the soap, because the soap is the bubbles. And this will be the mineralization.
oh,
There's a slightly different pathway here, because when you put this into the bathtub, you're now creating a mineral gradient that allows the acidity to be pulled out of the body and alkalinity, which this represents, pushed back into the body.
And generally speaking, most people are far more acidic than they should be.
Yeah, generally speaking, yes.
Cool. And the last thing we want to touch on is something we just launched recently, and that is our app.
Oh, yeah, the Metabolic typing app. So this is for people who like to use their phone, and it's something that you can sign up into. It will interview you, ask you a few questions. But the main issue or main purpose of this is to teach you 3 things. It will teach you about your endocrine dominance, which is how you gain or lose weight. It will teach you about your metabolic dominance, which is how you alkalize or acidify, and each one of us is slightly different. And when you get control over the alkaline acidic balance, all of a sudden your moods are completely controlled. And then when you fine tune it, you will also tune your cravings in. So this app would fantastically support this 3-week launch, because in week 1 we teach you about the weight management. In week 3, 4, 5 we teach you about your mood management, the dopamine and all of that stuff that I mentioned. And finally, in the latter part of this course, we teach you about blocking factors, what's in your body and in your environment that is disrupting normal function. What is preventing you or your body from functioning at its optimum?
Awesome. So for all the products and for the app, if you look in the comments, you should see them, or they should also be in the description.
Yeah. Anyway, so this is available either in a 3-month or 12-month version. And so the 12-week version, that's okay, I want to learn it, but I'm good. And the 12-month is, not only do I want to learn it, I want your full support in helping me attain my goals. And especially if you have any chronic degenerative inflammatory condition, whether that involves your gut or your brain or your joints or wherever it is that the damage is, it will take more than 3 months. In fact, you should budget about a year of suffering into 1 week of healing. So if you're 50 years old, you probably need 50 weeks of a concerted effort to get yourself right.
It reminds me of the old saying, you can pay me now or you can pay me later.
Yes. Yeah, this is the time to pay back.
Yeah. And there's no time like the present to change. I mean, you can do short-term pleasure for long-term pain, right? You can continue to have the beer and the chocolate bars, and eventually you're going to be spending a lot of time in a home.
Yeah. I remember when I was learning math, algebra, in derivations, you learn that there's the second derivations equal to 0 when there's the inflection point. Cool engineering factoid. Anyway, here's what it means. In our lives, we take a long time getting to the inflection point. But when we reach it, it takes one heartbeat for us to realize that the old way is over and that we have to flip it and be different. Yeah. So when you reach the second derivation equals 0, that's when I want to meet you.
And it's always too late. People decide, okay, I'm going to lose weight because my doctor told me I'm 10 minutes away from a heart attack. Well, it's a lot easier to lose weight when you're relatively healthy and you're active compared to when you're way overweight and can barely move.
Yeah, when your metabolic system is working full strength, and when your cells are not loaded with all kinds of debris, garbage, call it cytotoxicity in fancy words. It's like this. When you're operating out of the full bag, it's easy. When you're up to here, filled with the brown stuff, and your capacity is only this big, it's a lot harder to operate from that. And you need to get your capacity restored.
Yeah.
And that's the work that we're talking about.
And we see it all the time. We see people who are very unhealthy and they're smoking. That's like, I guess you don't really want to be healthy.
Yeah. What's interesting, of course, that the smoking is damaging your lungs. And yet, nicotine as such is a highly beneficial thing in the following way. Vitamin B3 is the fuel that your cells need. And nicotine is like the turbocharger, the turbine that is pushing the oxygen into the fire. So when you get nicotine in, you set yourself on fire, essentially. So, of course, a highly efficient burner doesn't need nicotine. It sends somebody into a total tizzy. Right. Scott can talk about that, right?
Yeah, that's for sure. And that is another reason why I think this app is so important, is because it helps you to decide what type of person that you are, right? Like, are you, and there's a number of different metabolic types. And if you are eating for your wrong metabolic type, you have lots of problems, whether you're putting on weight or whether you're acidic all the time and grumpy, or whether you're alkaline and you're depressed, right? Yeah. I mean, those are the extremes. We want to be kind of like in the middle and have some wiggle room.
Yeah.
And this app will really, really help you with that. So, Martin, thank you very much for taking time out of your busy day. I know you've got a very busy office there that you're looking after. And George says, thanks, Scott and Martin, for another terrific episode. Appreciate you a lot, George. Thank you. And thanks for joining us, everybody. This has been the Life Enthusiast Health Shots podcast, restoring vitality to you and the planet. And we'll see you next week for part 2.
My body's a temple, but the walls are cracked. Stuck in the rubble of the years I've stacked. Stagnation in my veins like a river turned to dust. Toxic whispers in the wind, but I gotta rebuild. I must. Restoring vitality